Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that goes to the cinema each week, sees a couple of things, rates them out of 5, stays at home, sees a couple of things, rates them out of 5, puts them against each other and sees where money has been better spent this week. My name is Tosin and I am your host, somewhere in the middle of the United Kingdom in a place called Bromsgrove. And joining me as always on the Isle of Wight are Sharon Bolin.
Hello.
And Shaun Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, how are you guys doing this week?
Yeah, good. It's been nice weather.
Yeah.
Can't complain about the weather.
Yeah, I think Shaun, that has to go be a big thing for you because so those of you who might be following us realize we missed recording last week, and that was because we had two people who were ill and one person who was on a plane back from Thailand. So it would just have been me talking. And so Shaun, you were the proverbial person on a plane back from Thailand. And for you to come back and be talking about the weather, that must be a nice thing.
Yeah, it is. It is really nice to be, to have the nice weather. So yeah, I think we've only had really one day this week, haven't we? That's been a little bit overcast. But the rest of the week's been pretty nice.
Especially because you should have seen the weather when you were in Thailand.
Yeah.
I think when you were in Thailand, I'm pretty sure it kind of rained solidly for a week.
Well, yeah.
I think a lot of that bypassed the island. We didn't get a lot of rain. It missed us.
Oh, look at that. God. Look at that's the Isle of Wight just showing off again. Oh, check us out. We're the sunniest place.
But then when it snows, we don't normally get a heavy snowfall, do we, as well?
We haven't had snow for years, no.
It cuts both ways, really.
Yeah.
We don't get a deep snow. I think it's something to do with the Purbeck Hills, I'm pretty sure if a weather front comes in, it's sort of, the Purbeck sort of shoot it off over us and into Sussex.
Yeah, it's okay. What could I say? This is just sour grapes. It's just sour grapes because I don't live there anymore. So
we do have our own microclimate. It is, I know it's its own microclimate, the Isle of Wight.
The films on the aeroplane count.
Do films on the aeroplane?
Can we have that as it?
If you've seen it for the first time.
Films on the aeroplane, but the question is, would a film on aeroplane, would it be a cinema viewing, or I think that would have to go into
streaming.
It would have to go into streaming, even though it's kind of its own little. Oh, that is weird. It's like international waters.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, because I was thinking that because I did watch a couple of things on the way back, and I watched a lot of stuff that I'd already seen, and but I just. The joy with it is you can move to I watched the Godzilla stuff again. So, but just the fight bits.
Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
It's now on Netflix in the UK.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Godzilla -1 is on Netflix in the UK. It's a big thing, so much so that somebody, and I will find their name, came onto our YouTube channel onto the review famous review, Shaun, that you did of Godzilla -1, and somebody felt compelled to come onto that review and tell us that it was now on Netflix in the UK.
Wow.
There is so much love for this film. I think it's let's see. Yeah, it was someone called Scottish Bear 582, and they sent it saying it's available in 4K Atmos in the UK Netflix. You might have to change the language to Japanese audio, English sub settings to get the Atmos track. Quality superb. And and that morning it's kind of like, how Google now knows everything about you. I'd received what's the word? An alert telling me that Godzilla -1 was now UK Netflix, so you can watch it to your heart's content. Obviously, not the same as seeing it in the cinema, especially when the bum 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 bum, especially when that kicks in. But at least I will get to see it. So it's gone straight onto my watch list on Netflix, as well as Past Lives, because I heard a lot of good things about that around the Oscar seasons.
Past Lives. Yeah.
Okay, so this week, let us kick off with what we have seen in the cinema, in the actual cinema. Shaun, go for it.
Okay, so I've seen Furiosa.
Yeah.
And I've also watched film Sting.
The Sting, little spider horror movie called Sting.
Spider horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, but yes, and Furiosa, because you actually saw Furiosa in Thailand, didn't you?
I did see Furiosa in Thailand, yeah, in 4KX as well.
Ooh,
So
that's when the seats shake and everything.
yeah, I know it wasn't. But I mean, it was. But the screen was fantastic. I got to say, the screen was fantastic. But
Oh,
it was a big screen and the sound was great.
did
The
you stand for the king?
What's that?
Is it, did
Oh,
you
did I
stand for
stand
the
for the king?
king?
Of course, of course. Yeah, you got to respect people's customs, haven't you? Yeah, because
Yeah,
they always
because
they always have the national anthem. Please
yeah.
stand for the national anthem. But what I like about the way they do the trailers and the adverts is they intersperse them. So rather than getting a whole lot of adverts, so they show the trailer to a movie,
Yep.
then an advert, and then another trailer, and then an advert,
Oh,
rather than
rather than advert,
advert, advert,
trailer.
advert, trailers, then more adverts. So it's
For a
sort of.
second there, I thought you meant that you would watch like an hour of the film, then the film would stop, and then they'll show
Oh
an
no,
advert.
no, 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 no! Just,
Then watch the rest
just,
of the
just the
film.
trailers, just the
Yeah,
trailers.
that'd go
But
down well.
it's quite nice to go into the cinema sometimes when I've been to the cinema there. Sometimes they put on the air conditioning and it just gets too damn cold. So I
Yeah,
always
yeah.
take a hoodie, but sometimes they get it just right. I guess it's like the cinemas over here sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, yeah.
that one was sort of it was just a perfect like screen size, perfect sound. Bit of moving around and a bit of puffs of air and stuff. But you know,
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a second because and if anybody who is wondering what we mean about standing for the king, they have this custom in Thailand that whenever you go to the cinema before the film starts, they play the national anthem. And when I went to the cinema in Thailand, they had like almost like a slideshow of pictures of the king
yeah,
as well,
that's it.
and everybody stands up for the national anthem in respect of the king. Then sit down, enjoy your film. And I can't remember what film I saw. I only saw one film with my friend Hui, but can't remember.
I
But
have, I
anyway,
have, I have to say, I don't think this king can be as popular as the other one because there were a couple of people that didn't stand up, which quite surprised me because I
yeah, yeah.
think that would be illegal. But
Well, that was the thing. When I went, my friend did say it would be illegal and I should stand up because you might end up in trouble
yeah, yeah,
if you didn't do it. But I figured that that's the kind of thing well, anyway, I don't know.
no,
This is like foreign affairs. I don't know
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
But okay, so we have Sting and Furiosa in cinemas, and this week we are going to hand over home viewing to Sharon. And Sharon, will you tell us what things are you bringing to us from home viewing?
Yes, I've been sort of more or less an enforced home stay this week. Been
Yeah.
a bit poorly sick. I have watched season 3 of Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime,
Mm-hmm.
and I have caught up with the season. It's one of the Walking Dead spin-off season, the Rick and Michonne season called The Ones That Live.
Yeah, the Walking Dead, the ones that live. Anyway, I will keep my Walking Dead vitriol until we have that discussion. But let us kick off. Let us kick off with Furiosa.
What have you seen, Toes? What have you seen?
Oh, I have seen Furiosa. I've seen Furiosa in cinemas. Yeah, I managed to wangle it this week. We had a rainy Tuesday night, which meant that I couldn't play tennis, and so I was like, quick, cinema! It's my
Cinema.
one
Brilliant,
night.
brilliant.
So I legged it out, went to go see Furiosa. And but also because it was almost the only other thing on. I mean, Sting was on as well, but I thought I'll do Furiosa because I knew Shaun would like to have a conversation about that.
Oh yeah, you got to do Furiosa. Got to.
Yeah. Yeah, and at home I've seen some other stuff, but we're giving that to Sharon this week, so I'll push my stuff till next week. Constellation, you get kicked for another week, which might tell you something that I think about that. But but okay, so we kick off with Furiosa. So this is Furiosa, to give it its full title, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. And Shaun, if you're okay, I'll just do a little bit of like background
Of
on
course,
this.
yeah, go, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell the story.
Yeah, because I know that it's so this is pretty much it's a prequel to the last Mad Max movie, which is Mad Max Fury Road, in which we met a character called Furiosa, or Imperator Furiosa to give her a full title, who was played by Charlize Theron. And this film is a prequel that tells you everything about Furiosa that leads her up to the point that you meet her in Mad Max Fury Road. So and I think that's really much about what you need to know, storyline wise. And then it's now I think we have previous with Mad Max Fury Road on this podcast, because I remember, Shaun, I went to see Mad Max Fury Road with you in the cinema. It's one of the few times I think we've gone to the cinema together.
Yeah.
And I remember we came out with totally different experiences.
Yeah.
We came out with totally different experiences because, sure, you came out, you were like, oh, that's amazing. And you were, because you're a Mad Max fan anyway. I feel like I joked in our WhatsApp group saying that I feel like you might actually be George Miller, the director. of this
Yeah,
film because
yeah.
you love it that much. You're in there with everything.
I've seen it a few times as well. I've watched it a few times when it's, I like
Yeah,
sort of on.
when it shows up on TV and
Sorry,
all that.
yeah.
Yeah, and the my and I feel like if you're going to talk about this film because it leads into Fury Road. You can't talk about this film without talking about Fury Road. I
Fury
don't think.
Road, yeah.
And my problem with Fury Road is that I thought this was the beginning of my old man thing of if there is no story, I'm not interested. And I still maintain that I don't think Fury Road has that much of a story. It is. I feel like Fury Road is like one long action scene. I didn't quite like the action. I thought it was repetitive. And people were like, oh, but the stunts and everything. And yes, the stunts are amazing. But great stunts do not a movie make. and I would maintain that until this day. That's my thing. I know, Shaun, you're like it's a 5-star movie for you.
Yeah. It's a top movie for me.
Yeah.
Top, super top movie, I mean, like I say, if that was on an aeroplane, I would watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I'm in the minority when it comes to Fury Road because my brother loves it. He bought it on Blu-ray and everything like that, which is any chance he gets. And I think my wife and I are the only ones who are like, this is stupid. They drive in a straight line, get to a point and go, okay, hang on, we'll drive back. That is Fury Road. And I know that is reductive, but yeah. And so with this, when they said they were making Furiosa and they said we was gonna go in the cinemas and all that, and I was like, okay, fine, okay, let's go and let's see this again. I had a much better time with this than I did with Fury Road because this has a story. This goes from A to B to C, and I feel like this film justifies the existence of Fury Road. If you get
to be honest with you, the one thing I liked about it was almost seamlessly would go into the other. Well, it just worked so well because it was just like. I would say the only other prequel that has probably matched that would be Rogue One, the Star Wars Rogue One. But this was it was like seamless. You could have played the two movies together, and it would just be one movie. And
I think that highlights what my problem with Fury Road always was, and because Fury Road is pretty much the last act of this film. So if you're telling somebody a story, Fury Road will be the last act of this film. And I'm thinking, why did you give me the last act without the rest of the story? So okay, but yeah, but I know that for some people they love that. For me, it just really annoys me, and I don't know exactly why. It just really annoys me of the fact that they did that. But
that's the joy of cinema. Some people hate some films. Some people love other films.
Yeah,
it is. That's what's great about it.
Yeah, but going on to this film, as I said, this film I think really justifies Fury Road, and you're right. You could have like a double bill, watch this film, watch Fury Road, and I feel like after this film, watching this film now, I would go back to Fury Road and have a much better time. I feel like I would have a much better time with Fury Road after watching this film. But the storyline kicks off. You meet Furiosa when she's young. You meet her when she's young, and she's in this place. That's okay. I mean, the film starts off, and it kind of almost sort of says that the Mad Max world is our world, but with a whole bunch of different wars that have gone in and has devastated the whole place. And so there's this bigger thing that this film has, almost this sort of philosophical thing about the nature of humans and conflict and war and why we destroy each other and everything like that. But then it comes up with Furiosa. Then it goes, okay, let's forget about that and let's get some action in. So if you meet Furiosa when she's a kid, she's in this area. There's some people who come to this area, but they're in this place called the Green Place that they're trying to protect to make sure that nobody else finds out about it. Because if they find out about it, then everything's gonna go. So the first time you meet her, she's trying to stop some marauders. She gets captured, and I actually quite like the opening sequence of this film because for me, my favorite character in this film is her mother. I feel like her mother.
She's tough, yeah.
Her mother is like tough, badass. Her mother is absolutely badass. You do not mess with that woman. And I loved that character and everything. So because obviously you know how Furiosa ends up in Mad Max Fury Road, there's a couple of things that you're going to be expecting for. Like in Mad Max Fury Road, Charlize Theron famously only had one hand in that film. And in this one, when it starts, she has two hands. When you meet her, she's in the Immortan Joe's Citadel. So you know there's a whole bunch of different things that are going to happen. Like how does she get from there to the Citadel? They go through that. They show you all the different people that she meets. Furiosa changes from Aaliyah Brown to Anya Taylor-Joy
seamlessly again.
it is
I mean,
seamless.
that was how they did that. I don't know because I don't think it was CGI thing, but it just
It,
seemed
it,
to work. 1 minute with
Sure,
the,
Sean,
you
it
know,
was CGI.
oh, what was it?
It
Okay.
was CGI. So essentially, what if you look at pictures of Aliyah Brown in real life, she doesn't look like she does in Furiosa, because what they did and what George Miller did is that they used AI to map bits of Anya Taylor-Joy's face onto onto
Oh,
Aliyah
okay.
Brown, so that as she's growing older, she says like at the beginning, maybe there's about 25% of her
It
face
was
in there.
still clever, whatever it was.
No,
It was still really, really,
it
really
was really
clever.
clever. It was really clever because there was a bit where I was looking at her as she's growing older, and you can see. I'm like, hang on, that. And there's a bit where it changes, and you're like, okay, this is who's going to be with for the rest of the film.
And she pulls
And I
the
think,
mask down.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think I had a lot. But I remember in Fury Road, I complained because I felt like this was like a world that somebody had in their head, and there was a reason for everything that was in the world, but they were not telling you what the reason was. And I feel in this film, there's a little bit more of that, and explaining what goes on, and explaining what Gastown is, explaining the Bullet Farm, and who Immortan Joe, and there were all these bits that I just really liked. I liked it as a piece of world building. I liked it as a bit, and obviously the one of the big things, the main thing about Fury Road is action. This doesn't have as much action as Fury Road, but I think when the action kicks in, like there's a bit where they have Tom Brooks shows up as some guy called Primorton Jack or something. I mean, all the names are weird. There's Rictus Scrotus, like all these guys. They have
Victoria
weird,
Jack, yeah.
yeah, Praetorian. That's it,
Yeah.
Praetorian Jack. Yeah, and so Tom Brooks shows up at him, and the car that you have, or the main car that you have in Fury Road, is called the War Rig. There's a whole segment where they're attacking the War Rig, and I'd heard a lot about this sequence, and I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But the invention in that sequence, the invention that shows up, like the guys who are coming on they're behind the motorbike, and then like a parachute opens and then they go. I was like, this is awesome. This is like, I thought the action was inventive. I thought it was great. I thought it made sense, and I thought like as the sort of like the sort of road war thing. I just thought it was really, really good. I actually really quite like this film. I thought it worked quite well. I thought the performances are good. It's possibly some of the best I've seen of Chris Hemsworth, because he isn't just relying on being Chris Hemsworth. Although I mean the weird nose they give him helps. but I really like this film. Sean, I'll stop talking and let you talk.
You pretty much said it all, Post. I don't think I can say much else except to say that, yeah, no, it was just brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. It worked seamlessly. It made sense. Everything made sense. There wasn't really anything that I could pick up that was daft. Really, I liked the meeting between Immortan Joe and Demetus. What he was called,
Dementus,
yeah, Demeter. So yeah, and what I really liked as well was the betrayal bit as well, because like they meet and
Oh
how
yeah. No spoilers, no spoilers.
But how he says, yeah, well, we can have this, but I want this and I want this and I want her.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought, yeah, that works. It just worked really, really well. I thoroughly came out. I enjoyed this film all the way through, and I'm definitely should see it again.
Yeah, because there's things like
I agree with you with the Fury Road thing, because it goes in seamlessly, and it is world building, and you think there might be some claim, there's not enough action, there's not enough, but there was enough action, and it was good action as well. It was really really good, especially the well, I don't really have any spoilers.
Yeah,
but
I actually prefer the action in this to the action in Fury Road.
Yeah, they're both good movies, so I won't be any different. But yeah, no, this was I was so pleased that I saw this movie. It's just great. Sharon, do you like Fury Road?
I've seen it once when it first came out, and I was impressed by the visuals, but it didn't leave a lasting impression on me. And I haven't seen it again, and I haven't really felt the need to revisit it. For me, it wasn't a really Mad Max film, which is what it was a Furiosa film, so I can see how
it was a Furiosa
this
film,
would tie into this, because Mad Max was almost like a secondary character in it, and I went to see it because I thought it was going to be a Mad Max film.
Well, that's one of my complaints with Mad Max, is that the only time in Fury Road in which he does anything mad is off screen. You don't actually see him do the bad thing. He runs up into the. But anyway, I will stop doing. I will stop complaining about that film. I'll talk about the film that we have on the table. So I mean, I thought it was really well done. I think, as I said, I thought the performances are great. I think that there's bits like where essentially George Miller has made this film assuming that you have seen Fury Road, because there's bits where he keeps playing. Like I mentioned the fact that if you look at the poster for Fury Road, you see Charlize Theron with one mechanical arm. And there's bits where he keeps doing all these things that kind of like, no, not yet, no, she's still got two arms. No, still got two arms. And so much so that the scene where they actually, okay, Shaun, if you want to talk about stupid things, the one bit where I looked at it, I thought, okay, now that is stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
What the tortury bit with the capturing bit that you're talking about?
Yes. The scene where she finally actually loses her arm.
Right.
That bit I thought was, no, that's just stupid. That's just stupid.
In what way?
Okay, all right. Okay, so essentially, let me go back to some of your complaints. Like, you complain about in Batman versus Superman that when Batman comes up through the floor, all these highly trained commandos are facing away from all the places that they would be facing because those are the obvious entry points, that kind of thing. And this, I'm thinking that you have that scene. I'm going to try and say this without giving any spoilers. In that scene, you have a whole bunch of people who've captured some people, and they are doing stuff, and they have the person that they've captured in a certain place, and then the person who they captured escapes, and I'm thinking, how?
Because they were distracted by what they were doing to
but if they're and I guess that if they're distracted, all the people who were doing the essentially all the people who were doing the capturing are idiots. That's
well, they were, weren't they? Let's be honest.
I know
they were pretty much.
They were idiots. Even the masterman's an idiot, and that bit I was just kind of like we can have a bit.
I'll forgive you for that.
We can have a bit more of a spoilery discussion about that. Yeah. There were just a whole bunch of things I was like, how? But apart from that, I would give this a 4 out of 5, which for me is a massive bump up from Fury Road.
From Fury Road, yeah. No, well, I mean, as you can probably tell from my enthusiasm for this film, this is this for me. Yeah, I thought it was better than Fury Road, so I'm going to give this one a 5.
Shaun, I will not argue with you. I thought it was better than Fury Road. I thought, and the funny thing about
me, what I liked about it so much is it just was so seamlessly. I mean, I've seen prequels before, but this just, like I say, you could go from this movie straight. You wouldn't even need any other titles or anything. You could go from this movie straight to
Fury Road. Yeah.
In fact, I think isn't there a scene in it which is the first scene from Fury Road?
Well, when this film finishes, you know how sometimes when they make a film about a real life figure and then they show you pictures of them in real life after the film ends. During the credits of this film, they show you scenes from Fury Road because essentially saying what you said, that this flows directly into Fury Road. And the funny thing is that, well, I heard an interview with George Miller on the Empire Movie Podcast where George Miller said that they actually wrote this film before Fury Road. They wrote the script for this film because they were like, essentially everything I said about Fury Road, he sort of like corroborated, because I was like, it's like somebody has a world that they figured out in their head, but they're not telling you anything. He says that because they had all these characters in Fury Road, they needed to know where they all came from. And so they wrote this whole other screenplay to explain where Furiosa came from, what Bullet Town is, what Gastown is.
I mean, I don't know, because I've heard John was telling me that it hasn't done particularly well, but they were talking about making a third one, weren't they, called The Wasteland, which was going to be a Mad Max one. Which is going to be all about Mad Max. That was my perception. It was going to be a trilogy.
Well,
so The Wasteland, which was going to be a more of a Max one. So you had Furiosa, Fury Road, and then you had The Wasteland, which would have been Mad Max. So
yeah, and after this film, I would have watched that one. But the truth is that they still might, because I mean, Mad Max was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 10 years. I think. Probably they were looking, because he was telling me, he said, it hasn't done very well at the cinema.
Yeah.
So
it hasn't, and but that is essentially there's a lot of wider existential questions being asked about cinema right now because there've been a lot of films that they've released which I thought would have been big films that weren't. So Furiosa was one of them, and The Fall Guy was another one of them, which haven't done well, and people have not gone to cinemas to watch these films. But I reckon that what's going to happen is same thing that happened with Mad Max Fury Road, because that wasn't that well attended in cinemas.
No.
It was when it got into home viewing that people started watching and going, "Oh my god, oh my god!" And I think the same thing's going to happen with this film. So they might
probably
make The Wasteland in another 10 years.
Looking at the long term, looking at long term thing. I'll tell you a trilogy.
They might do that, although the problem is that George Miller might not be with us anymore. So
that's true. On about that, Immortan Joe was a different actor, wasn't it?
It was, because
but you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know unless you put them right beside each other. Unless you put them right beside each other, the eyes are different. But you wouldn't know because the guy who played the original Immortan Joe, Hugh Friendly something, he died. So they had somebody else play Immortan Joe in this one. So 5 stars for me, or in general 4.5. But we've spoken about this too long. Shaun has just been looking at us all weird and stuff. There's a lot more that we could get into because there's a lot more that I do want to get into.
You're right.
But we need to. I need to let that thought go away, and go over to Sharon, and then we're gonna go from film stuff, and we're gonna go talk about stuff we saw at home. So Sharon, do you want to tell us about The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Lived?
Yes. The Walking Dead, as you know, the Walking Dead franchise has been going for a long time now, and it's had various incarnations. Yes, you've had the original Walking Dead season, and then you've had some spin-off seasons. You've had Fear the Walking Dead, you've had Walking Dead: The World Beyond, The Walking Dead: Dead City, Tales of Daryl Dixon, and The Ones That Live. And for viewers in the US, these have all been coming out regularly over the last few years. In the UK, after the last season of The Walking Dead, there's been nothing. All the new spin-off seasons, the Dead City, Daryl Dixon, and The Ones That Live, have just been in like a sort of a limbo state because no one has quite owned where they're going to be. Originally, the home of The Walking Dead was all Sky in the UK, and then Disney took it, and it became a Disney Plus thing, and then sort of nothing. And now Sky have got the rights again to watch the Walking Dead, and so some of these things are starting to appear on Sky, which is why, even though this is like the 4th season of the new spin-offs, this is the first one that's actually appeared in the UK that most people can see. So basically, this carries on the story of Rick and Michonne, who were mainstays of the main Walking Dead season. In the season, Rick mysteriously went missing after a bridge exploded. I think it was in like season 7 or something of The Walking Dead. So the last few years, there's been no Rick. And Michonne has sort of been on her own with their children. And then she found a few clues that would suggest he was still alive. And then in The Walking Dead, Michonne left to go and find Rick because she was convinced that he was alive. And this season is basically the story of how Rick and Michonne find each other and their story from there on. So there's nothing, I don't need to say anymore about the plot. But it does basically tie in The Walking Dead with The World Beyond, which is one of those, a 2-season one about, and originally it was like teens in the apocalypse, and it was a bit like, really? But it did actually tie into the wider story, the wider world building about this group of sort of city states that are sort of like a military state who are looking at sort of retaking sort of the North American continent. And so this season with Rick and Michonne does tie in with The World Beyond. So it is another one of those sort of links.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you know what to expect. The chemistry between Rick and Michonne is still there. If you're not a fan of The Walking Dead, this probably won't win you to it. You're not going to come in at this level. So if you're still with the franchise by this point, it's got you. And if you've been left behind, you're past it. Yeah. So I think it is for the fans. But people like me who have been a fan from the beginning, I liked it. I thought it was the story that we wanted. We wanted to see this story of Rick and Michonne come to a conclusion, a sort of satisfying conclusion, and that's what I felt. I felt for the fans out there, it was what we wanted, and I was happy with it. So I would basically leave it there and give it. For me, it was a 4-star. It was a fitting conclusion to their story, and I think it's a good nod towards the end of that main sort of character line. Started off in The Walking Dead, and for me it was, it hit the right note, hit the right tone, the right amount of action. Their chemistry was still alive and sort of driving the story along. So I liked it, and for me, it was a 4-star. But if you weren't a fan, I don't think it would be anything more than a 3. But for me, it did what I wanted it to do. So I'm happy with it as a 4.
Well, Sharon, you said a word there that made my ears prick up and maybe got me interested, and that word you used was conclusion. Because as I was saying beforehand, I feel like I don't think any show has ever been more aptly named than The Walking Dead, because this thing just keeps going and refuses to die, refuses to go away. And you said the word conclusion, which makes you go, really? But I kind of doubt that they're going to find a way of carrying this thing on.
Sharon,
I'll still be complaining about this when I'm 60.
Is it so can you get the whole lot on Sky now then?
You can get this season.
Was it every day? Pardon?
You can get all of. There are only 6 parts, 6 episodes to this mini season,
right.
And the ones that live, and so all of those are available to watch as a as a mini season. So and to me it did feel like a conclusion. There was an ending to this storyline that's been running for a few years. So I felt it did, but I can imagine if they suddenly said, we're going to do another one. It's like, okay.
I should watch that one.
I would be happy for it to end here. I'd be happy for it to end here.
I'll watch it because I'm quite invested with The Walking Dead. I enjoyed the series. I remember we used to talk about it right at the very beginning, didn't we?
Yeah.
Remember? It must have been sort of episode 3 when I was up in Godric Road.
Yes. We've been in there since the beginning. Yeah,
I think you were still on the island, weren't you, when it was about?
Well, it's been going on forever. Of course I wasn't on the island.
And there's a nice scene in this.
I haven't lived on the island for like almost 10 years. Oh no, about 7 years or something. Of course I wasn't.
There was a nice scene I thought that linked into the beginning, because in one of the very first scenes, when Rick comes out of the hospital, you see the feet of a little girl walking along, a hand reaches down and picks up a little bunny rabbit, and then she walks off, and it's like, little girl, turn around. And in this one, it looked to me like it was the same bunny rabbit. Shaun is walking along and she sees this rabbit on the ground, she picks it up, and it's a little bunny with floppy ears. And I thought that looks very similar to that. Because I've recently seen that clip again on the television, I thought, that's a very similar bunny, if not it's the same bunny. So there's a nice sort of nod to the very first episode. So to me, that felt like it was, we're drawing a circle on this. This is like becoming like the full circle for these characters.
Yeah.
I should watch that then.
I hope so. I know the reason why Andrew Lincoln left the show. Well, the reason why Rick left was because Andrew Lincoln left, and Andrew Lincoln said that he didn't want to because he's English, even though a lot of people are shocked that he's English, and his kids were growing up, and it was too much. The shooting schedule was too much, and everything like that. So he wanted to be back home. So I'm hoping that at least for him, he's going to draw a line under it and then move on. And but from what you said, him and Diana Gurira, they're still quite good in these roles. But I will never know because I'm not going to watch it. But you guys have fun, and I 100% wholeheartedly endorse your right to have fun and enjoy The Walking Dead, and I endorse mine to run away from it. So now let's go back to cinemas and everything like that, and let's talk about Sting. So Shaun, you saw Sting in cinemas. Tell us about Sting.
I did see Sting in cinemas. Okay, so this is a creature feature. This is a creature feature about a meteor, there's like a meteor shower thing, and one happens to go in this little tenement building where little girl finds it, sort of hatch out, and there's a small arachnid in there, a small spider. And it sort of communicates, a little bit of communication through, it's like whistles, and it whistles back, and gradually this thing, she feeds it with things, and it wants bigger and bigger things, and gradually gets big and big and big, and then there's various characters around the...
Sorry, just one thing. When you said that, Sharon, did you get a "Feed Me Seymour" vibe?
I was thinking that my film would end right there.
Yeah. Well,
If you're anything heavy, that story is finished.
Yeah. Well, she's a bit. She's not odd. She's just like a bit. She's got a stepdad, and
I'm not whistling at a spider. I don't care what you say.
That's it. But she is a bit. She is a bit of an odd one. She is a bit of a sort of, should we say, like lone and a bit cantankerous.
Yeah.
Typical. In fact, I thought she acted the part very, very well. I think. I mean, I don't know. It had a 70s feel about it. It had a 1970s feel about it.
Shaun, did you recognize the girl?
Not really. No. Not the
she's-
young girl.
Oh, no, the young girl who is whistling at the spider. That's young Furiosa.
Get out of here!
It
Really?
is.
What the? Yeah.
The
Oh,
one
now
with
I
the
see what you mean by the CG. Oh, do you know? Wow, I'm gonna have to. That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's
young.
nuts.
That is young Furiosa. The young girl who finds a spider is young Furiosa. Aliyah Brown.
My goodness me. Well, but she was good. She was really good. Oh, she
Yeah.
was good as Furiosa as well. Going back.
Well,
to
yeah,
that.
she's good. Yeah.
But she was really good in this. She was really convincing as a bratty sort of, I don't know, I guess must be 11, 12-year-old, something like that, real sort of bratty with the, and obviously listens to speakers and that, got earphones. And so when things happen, she conveniently not hear stuff. But
Yeah.
Anyway, so you got this thing but this, so anyway, yeah, so people start disappearing around, human people. And I mean, there's this rather large air conditioning place where things go missing. But there's one, it's great. There's one old lady that doesn't get bothered. And it's like, oh, it's a grandma. And it's like, grandma, why? So what she doesn't get anyway. And she works out that it's like, obviously, camphor mothballs sort of thing, which is a weakness, of she obviously, because all her clothes are covered with camphor. So it's a little bit of a spoiler, but I'm gonna have to say it anyway. So it's great. She makes like a little girl makes a solution out of the crushed mothballs.
Well, okay, so
and then you've got aliens. You've got aliens.
What?
Yeah.
Because this is what
sorry, not physically. I'm talking about the movie. Sorry, not aliens don't appear.
Oh, I'm gonna say this is taking a turn.
No. There's no aliens. Sorry, that's
okay.
A bit misleading. But it becomes
like the movie
instead
Aliens.
Of an M4 pulse rifle, you've got like war.
Oh, okay, cool. I get you.
That's
you.
What
Like,
I meant. Sorry, there's no aliens in it. should say that. There's no other aliens apart from this alien beastly spider. But,
okay, so this spider shows up, starts up small, eats a whole bunch of things, and then grows bigger. From what I understand, it becomes like, and essentially, you said alien. So from what I hear, it's like you think apartment building. Well, first when you said apartment building, my first thought was batteries not included, but that's a different type of alien. But then it's like instead of instead of apartment building, think the Nostromo or something like that. And then this thing now starts going around stalking people.
I mean, the air conditioning system, in those buildings is rather large. So if you've seen Aliens, haven't you, Toes?
Oh yeah, I've seen Aliens.
Yeah, so with Aliens, with Vasquez going through the air conditioning tunnel. So you've got this type of thing, which So
well,
I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was really to me. I mean, I really liked that bit, and there were nods to other films like Eight-Legged Freaks and Arachnophobia.
Yep.
So there's a lot of little teasers in there, and it was, it wasn't like it was what it was. It was a bit like Megan, you know what I mean? Where it wasn't, it wasn't like, should we say, it didn't take itself too seriously.
Yes.
No, I don't mind that. It didn't take itself too serious like the Fast and Furious movies and Vin Diesel, if you know what I mean. So it didn't take itself too seriously, and it worked. And I thought it was really clever how they sort of combat the what happens. And obviously there's a bit of tension sometimes when something gets lost, and it's all like finishes a bit Terminator-y style. So it's like their movies.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, essentially what you're saying is like with films like this, you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah,
you kind of know what you know that it's going to end up in a showdown. It's going to end up in and the fact it ends up in so I feel like the fact it ends up a bit Terminator-y is not really a spoiler. That's what
No,
you would
it's not.
expect.
No, it's not.
It's
No,
what you
it's
expect
not.
from a creature feature. The fact, like as Sharon says, that this tiny spider whistles at you, you whistle back, you start feeding it things, and then it starts asking for more bigger things to eat. Planet or Little Shop of Horror style. It's not really a spoiler. The fact that the spider grows bigger, it's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's just.
I think what it was, because I was expecting this to be awful. You know, I was expecting this to be.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I wouldn't really call it a creature feature, but it's not a horror film. It's not like trying to.
Yeah.
I suppose if you were scared of spiders, it might scare you a bit, but it wasn't. It was and there's some great characters in it. That Chinese dude in the background there, he's like, oh, you know, I know about all these things and all that. So you can imagine he's. And yeah,
Is he like the exposition guy?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'll tell you, I'm really shocked that's little Furiosa. So that is. I'm gonna go as soon as we finish.
You're gonna go back and look at pictures or put them side by side.
Yeah.
Go, oh my god!
Because she was really good. She was really good.
Oh no, she is really good. It's like oh man. I mean, I watched the film the other week. I think the last time we recorded, I spoke about the film The Present with Isla Fisher in it, and that had a child actor in it that makes you go, you shouldn't allow children on screen. You should just stop it. No children in films. And with her, she's like in Furiosa, at least anyway. You never think, oh my god, that's a child actor.
No,
you never think. You just think, oh.
I mean, if you compare the acting of young children nowadays, it's far superior from, like, should we say, the old Harry Potter films. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Sorry,
I agree. Totally agree with you on that. Totally agree with you on that. But
oh my god, the first two Harry Potter movies, they are so painful. Oh my god.
So yeah, well, we're not invested in Harry Potter anyway. But yeah, no. So really, I really enjoyed this. This is going to get. So I'm going to give this one a 3+ because I quite liked. So I'll give this one a 3. Yeah,
so a three, but because we know that, as we say on this podcast, that there's a lot of nuance to a 3. A 3 is a wide range.
So it's in the higher range of the 3 than the lower range of the 3.
Yeah, because the thing was with this film, because I remember a couple of weeks ago, and this film had all the hallmarks of a film that you would hate.
Yes,
it's like a low budget horror movie with one word in the title. And we have spoken about this. The last one we spoke about was Tarot. That you saw Tarot, and that was like, I remember looking at the poster for Tarot, and my first thought was, Shaun is going to hate that. That's like, I was like two things. I was like, Shaun is going to watch that. Shaun is going to hate that. and it's nice to see that.
And you were right.
and it's nice to see this, because with Sting, I heard slightly different things about it, that it's actually a lot more, that there's more character in it. So yeah, I'm quite happy that that you had a good experience, that it turned that up for you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was really good. And also, I like the way why she called it Sting as well. I thought that was quite clever. It was a clever way why she called it Sting.
Yeah, but I also feel like, I think this film was made in Australia.
Yeah,
and I feel like Australians have there's a lot of horror coming out of Australia that has a nice kind of knowing twist, and managed to avoid the pitfalls of a lot of the stereotypical American stuff.
So, I think you could be right. Well, Furiosa was Australian, really, wasn't it?
For Furiosa is so Australian.
Furiosa
is so Australian. Like, it is so Australian. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I was watching it. I was actually, the Fall Guy.
Yeah.
The Fall Guy was filmed in Australia. And there's quite a few actors who show up in The Fall Guy and in Furiosa.
Oh wow!
I was also playing bingo, going, "Oh yeah, saw him in The Fall Guy." Yeah, so like Dementus's right hand man. There's one of who's like bald headed and has like a tattooed head and everything like that. The guy shows up with almost exactly the same look in The Fall Guy. Like, he just walked straight out of the wasteland, right into Sydney Harbour.
Probably did.
I just had a chat with Ryan Gosling.
But that would make sense why the young girl in this was little Furiosa.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's Australian, but Brilliant. We'll find out. But anyway, now we go back to home viewing, go back to Netflix and Friends, and we talk Clarkson's Farm Season 3. So, Sharon, tell us about this. Well, actually, first, before you do that, I remember that you saw Clarkson's Farm Season 1, and it was something that you had never, that you never really liked Jeremy Clarkson, but
no,
but
Clarkson's a Top Gear fan, but in the old Top Gear, and I don't watch things like the Grand Tour.
Yeah, so
as a team, the whole Top Gear, Grand Tour,
Lads.
lads,
Yeah.
James May,
Richard
I've
Hammond.
lost Richard Hammond and Jeremy Clarkson. To me, I just found them a bit juvenile, a bit misogynistic. Didn't like it. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it. Didn't like it.
Yeah. To be honest
So
with you,
I was,
that's almost kind of like, their motto.
yeah. So when Clarkson's Farm came on, I was like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I was absolutely completely charmed by it.
Yeah.
And so I have watched seasons 2 and 3. And basically, it's almost like each season is like a year, a farming year. So it starts in the autumn when you after the harvest, you're starting to prepare for the next year.
Yep.
So each sort of September, that's when the farming year more or less starts. Because you're starting to plough your fields, you're going to be preparing for next year's crops. You're looking at your overwinter things and your animal husbandry, getting all that up ready for when you reap your harvest, which is the following year. So each season sort of follows that pattern that you meet them in the autumn, you go through the winter into the spring, and then they're harvesting, and that's the year. And so each season has had like a different sort of element of conflict, basically looking at challenges of how to keep a farm running. And Jeremy Clarkson obviously has the advantage that he has another stream of income. So his farm is not his life. And so he can have these almost like vanity projects because he's a farmer, but this is not where his entire livelihood. He's got another stream of income. Yeah. And so this year the theme of it was farming the unfarmed. And so he was looking at the farm saying, okay, we have a large farm. We've got woodland, we've got fallow fields, we've got hedgerows, we've got all sorts of other things that are just unfarmable. So the actual working farm is about half of our acreage is actually for growing crops. Yeah. And so he set himself a challenge with Caleb, his sort of farm sort of worker stroke manager, to say, okay, you are going to be doing, his right hand man, you're going to be in charge of all the conventional farming, and I'm going to try to see if I can make money farming the unfarmed. So looking at what other ways of making a farm work. Yeah. And that's basically what all 3 of these seasons have been. It's about basically what is the experience for farmers, in like, how do you make your land work? And a lot of it is by diversifying. And so this one, runs experiments of like harvesting the hedgerows for like brambles and the bramble jellies and the wild sloes and things. Can you make jams and pickles? Can he run wild sort of pigs in his woodland? Mm-hmm. Can he grow mushrooms in a derelict building and things? So it's looking at how these sort of diversifications, and sort of making it work. And so it's the same. If you like the first season, I think there's more of the same in seasons 2 and 3. And for all that I've always found Jeremy Clarkson really irritating, he actually does come across as really likable in this. Whether that's just creative editing, or whether that's just they want to make him personable in this, but he does come across as being actually much gentler than he appears, because he's a soft thing with the animals. Mm-hmm. They have a season where some of their pigs die, where the mums basically keep rolling on them and sort of killing their own little piglets. And he was genuinely upset by these little ones that keep getting killed, and he actually invented a system of creating and it's been patented, of how to protect the piglets from the sows by creating like a little fence that you fit inside the pig igloos, so that the pigs can't roll over right up against the edge of their enclosure. It then leaves like a little gap, and that's where all the piglets were being crushed. So now the little piglets, and they saved like sort of 50% more piglets survived with this thing in place than without it. So it's just things like that. His battles with the local planning authorities, trying to get his restaurant, trying to get a planning permission for like his car park. There's all these sort of dramas that sort of run through the season. It rises and fall like the weather, like the seasons, like a farming year. So to me, I still found it quite charming and genuinely laugh out loud funny. Gerald, one of the locals who again helps on the farm, has had a battle with cancer. Genuinely moving when you see how the people around him reacting to his battle with cancer in this, and the fact that he's completely incomprehensible. You can't understand a word he says, and he's often having these long conversations with Jeremy Clarkson, who is sort of nodding and just like, I've got no idea what you just said. No idea. But they have genuine affection. So they're an amusing, poignant, and I think it actually gets the job done because it's one of the very few programs I can imagine. But in my office, I'm obviously in my 50s. I work with they're in like their 20s and 30s young women who have sort of, some of them have got families, some of them are still singletons living their lives, and they're loving it. And I think there aren't many television programs or streaming programs that actually everyone from like our manager, middle-aged bloke,
Yeah.
me, middle-aged woman, these sort of 20-somethings, young family members who are actually talking about the plight of British farmers. We're talking about this one program, so it sort of crosses this sort of barrier.
Yeah.
And I thought it's genuine. It's really good television.
Yeah, it does seem to be like the most socially conscious thing that Jeremy Clarkson has done.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some of the pitfalls that these farmers can work out. You think just growing mushrooms, what can be wrong with that? And then his manager or sort of like financial brain comes in and said, well, have you done this risk assessment? Have you had them tested? Have you done this?
Yeah.
Have you tried doing that? And they're like, no, I'm just going to grow these things and sell them. And they're like, no. And they want to like dry them out and sell them as like this dried powder. And
Yeah.
then I said, well, have you tested them? Have you got an analysis on them? Have you done...
Have you got like a food standards agency kind of?
Yeah, have you got a license for doing that? And they're like, what? I need that. It's like, yes, you need that.
Do you think any of it's contrived though? Do you think any of it's like
who knows with these things, with any reality program, how real is it? I don't know, but I think if it gets you talking about the plight of the British farmer and
I've never known a
poor
farmer.
That's what they've all said, and I know a lot of farmers who basically become builders, or they diversify. They're not. I don't know many farmers who are still just farming.
Yeah.
Most of the ones I know have left because they just can't cope with it. I used to know a lot of potato farmers on the Isle of Wight, big business potato farms, and I know that they'd be on their knees because they'd have a harvest, they'd have a buyer from the supermarkets, and then just before harvest, the supermarket would turn around and say, actually, we can't give you that £100 a ton. We're now going to give you 75.
I used to go out with a girl called Dawn, and her dad was a farmer. Her dad was a dairy and potato farmer, and I used to go there quite often and help out. But he was great. It would have been quite funny because I used to go there, and I remember like he had a son, Mark, his son, who was brother of Dawn, and I mean I used to go down there, and he said, right, just give me a pitchfork, and he said, right, stand here, will you? And there was this big white bull which was staring at me like that. I was like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And I went in. I'll tell you what, cows are scary things.
Oh, they're huge.
I heard of them. I went in because I asked what one they have, like these things in their noses, which to stop them suckling the udders, because I asked what it was. He goes, yeah, come on. Oh, I had some great fun on that farm. And like when they used to get he used to let his cows listen to Radio 2 all night and all day, and the thing, so they'd milk better. It was amazing. And the milk when it's fresh. Just like...
It's not an easy life. I mean, I think in the years gone by when they used to have like the caps and they used to have their subsidies, a lot of those things are sort of going now. So it is becoming harder for them to make a living.
Yeah, I think they were subsidised. They were subsidised for many years, weren't they?
All right. Okay. So
anyway, let's not get politics.
Sharon, we're gonna get into your star review, but I'm not sure whether you're hearing what I'm hearing. I've got video making skills. Shaun goes and works on a farm, facing down a bull with a pitchfork. Shawnee's Farm season 1. Anyone?
I'll tell you, I can tell you stories. I wish I was there because it was, going into this herd of cows frightened the life out of me. But and another story with like the other farmers would come with Jack Russells, and they would one night goes, oh yeah, you come watch this, and they sat outside a barn. And they'd let the Jack Russells go in the barn, shut the barn doors, have their beer, and like, oh yeah, we were, and the cats would come and everything. It was just, it must be quite a good thing, the farm life. But I agree with you, Sharon. Blooming hard work. It used to be early morning to.
Yeah. So how many stars are we giving Clarkson's Farm season 3, Sharon?
Yeah, I don't know how real it is or how genuine it is, but it certainly moved me and entertained me, made me laugh, made me think made me. It had a real impact. So I'll definitely give it a 4-star.
4 stars for Clarkson's Farm. Right, cool. So, the only thing left is to say, who do you think has won this week?
Probably streaming, because I think it's got 2 4s, isn't it? And
Yeah,
Sting
2
was
4s.
a 3.
That is, yes, yep, that is right. That's right. Sting was, but to be honest with you, Sting was
Mind you,
borderline.
Yes, it must be point something, because you gave Furiosa 4 and I gave it a 5. So
Yeah.
I reckon
That was-
point 5. What point 5 to?
Yeah. Sure, 0.25.
Yeah.
No point, no point, by 0.25, Netflix has won this week, which is it's hardly anything. Come on,
No, it's nothing. It's minute, isn't it? It's minute.
That's pretty much a dead heat. We don't use VAR around here.
What are you looking? What are you looking forward to coming up?
I don't have a clue what's coming up.
I have no idea what's coming
For
out.
me, I saw the trailer to Maxine, and
Oh yes,
what a trailer that is! What a trailer! The trailer has just got me so pumped, because I've loved the other 2. I love Pearl and Triple X. So
yes,
yeah.
Yeah, just X. It's just X. Yeah,
Just
Triple X is
sorry. Yeah,
Triple X is Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Don't want to get those mixed up.
No, we do not.
No. X is because I know you love those first 2, and I think and I don't. Well, you love Maya Goth, and I don't think you've seen her put a foot wrong.
No.
So I feel like Maya Goth, Ty West, you've loved that stuff, the first 2, so I expect that Maxine. I actually saw that earlier. I haven't watched it yet. I was going to watch that trailer. Although, I said I could talk about Furiosa for a lot longer.
Yeah.
And I think almost linking back to something that you said that you think that maybe they used early shot of Fury Road at the end of Furiosa. There is a bit at the end, and with this whole thing where they have Aaliyah Brown playing baby Furiosa, then you have Anya Taylor-Joy playing younger Furiosa, and then obviously that turns into Charlize Theron in Fury Road. There's a scene at the end of Furiosa that is, you see her in silhouette walking, and I am convinced that that's Charlize Theron.
Yeah,
because the walk, her walk in that scene, it looks like Charlize Theron walking.
Yeah.
And it's, and I'm like, I remember watching that at the time, I was kind of going, that looks, oh yeah, never mind. You just sort of like go past it. But now that I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised if they got Charlize Theron to do one scene, or they did some sort of like ching weird thing where they moved her in from Fury Road. But I agree, it's one of the most seamless things from one to the other. But anyway, until next week, when at least one other one of us would have seen Fury Road, not Fury Road. Oh my God, I've got that on the brain now.
Furiosa.
No, I was saying one other one of us would have seen the trailer for Maxine. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the trailer for Maxine made me go and watch from that, because like you have the rabbit holes from that. I went and watched the Grindhouse trailers after that. They like especially especially the Edgar Wright one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but if you like Scottish Bear 582 want to get in touch with us to sort of let us know what you think about a review that we've had, find them on YouTube. Get in touch with us on Twitter at Netflix via Cinema, on Facebook at Netflix via Cinema. You can get in touch with me at Toes in Video, and just let us know what you think. It'll be great to have you interact with us. Give us a 5-star review wherever it is you're listening to this podcast, and get in touch somehow. Oh, and also there's something called Tip Jar. If you are listening to this on the audio thing, in the description of this, if you think that anything that we've said is worth any kind of money, I mean, a penny, I think for me, I would probably say a penny. You can go there, click on Tip Jar, you can give us a penny. We'll use it to buy like a cup of coffee the next time we meet up or something like that. But thank you very much for listening this far. And until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me.
Thank you ever so much for joining us. Bye.